Howdy y'all, welcome back to the farm. Winter's right around the corner, and with that, it means me and my family are going to be on the road a lot. We drive to a lot of our family functions, holiday celebrations, and one of the things that we've had to fix since last year has been this car, the Ford Explorer, only blows hot air on one side. That's the driver's side. So while the driver is nice and toasty, the passenger is frozen out. This caused a lot of problems last year when we were driving through a sleet storm and one half of the windshield wouldn't get warm defrost. So our windshield would slowly freeze from the passenger side over to the driver's side. That made for a very long and arduous process of driving home, having to stop every few miles to scrape, and then getting back on the road. The most common cause for this is a blend door actuator on the passenger side that isn't opening or closing to allow the right mix of hot and cold air through the passenger side vents. What we've got here is a replacement actuator. This is a genuine Motorcraft part. We're going to be putting into this car and showing you how to do that. All right, let's get to pulling apart some trim. So this actuator is actually located right here behind the glove compartment. So to get to it, the first thing we got to do is take off some trim. We got to remove this piece to the right of the glove compartment, then this trim piece so we can remove the entire glove compartment. So to remove this piece, we just got to get behind it a little bit. And then there's going to be clips. Just give those clips nice tugs out. And one more. There we go. So that's the right-hand piece. Pull that out. And then with that out of the way, we got to pull up the glove compartment. Now to pull up the glove compartment, there's two tabs down here. All right, there's two tabs right here. One on the right side, one on the left side. Once you find them, you just pull them to the center. So after those tabs are out of the way, you reach back here, you grab the retainer for the glove compartment. All right, so with those tabs out of the way and the retainer moved, there's a little arm right here. You just push up on it, and then you can grab your glove compartment. It's on both sides, so it's one here, one here. Your glove compartment will come all the way down, and then it'll just pick up off the hinge here. All right, so we'll set that aside. All right, now we got to get to the bolts holding in the glove box assembly. So we'll take off this piece of trim right here. Just give it a couple light yanks. It's just some clips that hold it in place. And then we got to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think there's one more hiding back here. Let's see. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bolts out to take the whole glove box assembly out. And these are 7mm bolts. All right, now that those 8 bolts are out, grab the whole assembly. Pull it out, and then there's a electrical connection right there. There you go. All right, so now the whole glove compartment is out of there. All right, so now we're underneath the glove compartment, and what we're going for is these little bolts right here. There's one here and one way back up in there. And it's pretty cramped in here. So I highly recommend getting out your little 1/4" set, because it's about all that's going to fit down here. So there's one bolt. The other one's way up underneath here. So you got to kind of squirrel your socket up in there. You're doing it more by feel than by sight. So I'm not gonna lie, that was really difficult because this is the space you have to get that actuator up into. And there's one screw bolt that goes right there, and another one that goes way back here behind this big black box. So what you had to do is snake your socket up through here, and then socket it inside to get it just like one click at a time to get this inside bolt all the way out. All right, now we got that thing wiggled up in there. And once you get that actuator in place, you want to put the electrical cable that goes over the top into the bracket, just like this one here on the blower. So I've already gone ahead and done the easy bolt. Now I got to get back in there and get this harder one in place. Now what worked for me last time was getting my ratchet down in this area next to this heater pipe and ratcheting down here between the heater pipe and the blower motor. So we'll see if we can't get that to happen again. So I'm going to get that started. I got some tape on my socket. I'm going to get this thing started and then try to get my socket up in there with my fingers to get it in place. And we'll just see how that works out, because you really can't see anything back here. We're going to try something out. We're going to get a little bit of tape and tape the bolt onto the end of the socket so we can get started. All right, so reach back in there. All right, we found it. We're getting it started. And now with the socket still taped to the bolt, we can take our socket driver and sneak it back in there. All right, so now that we've got the actuator in place, the next thing we're going to do is just put the glove compartment back in place. It's exactly the same as when we took it out. So the first thing we do is we're going to take that assembly that we took out previously, get that electrical connector connected on the back, and then put each of the 8 bolts in the top and the bottom of this assembly. Now, the first thing I do is I always start my bolts by hand, so I'm going to get those bolts in there finger tight before I come in with my impact. Now, one thing to note is that these are going into plastic. This is all plastic assembly. So if you are going to use a power tool to put this in place, just make sure that you're being cautious not to over tighten them and strip out the connectors that are attached to the plastic pieces of the dash. Now get that trim piece that we took out earlier, push it into place on the top of the glove compartment assembly. It just clips right in. Then take those hinge pins. I like to line them up on the bottom first before taking the glove compartment, the actual compartment, and dropping it in on the hinges, lining it up and pushing those hinge pins in place. I think I showed a video previously of what that looks like from underneath. So you'll just take that glove compartment, get it lined up on those hinges, close it in place, and then use the latch on top and the hinges to help position it so that you can get it all connected. And then you're going to take that retaining cord that attaches to the back, attach that to the side, and then once you've got those hinges in place, the retaining cord in place, the last thing to do is to put on that side piece of trim, and then you'll be all finished up. Now that we've got everything buttoned up, turn this car on. All right, so we've got the passenger on high, the driver on 70, and surely this coming out over here is cold, and this is warming up. So as the car warms up, this is getting hotter, and this is staying cold. So I would say this is fixed. We got hot air coming out over here on the passenger side, and before we couldn't get that to happen. That fix is done. I'm super excited about the results. We've got hot air coming out of the passenger side again, which previously you couldn't get anything except for cold air to come out of the passenger side. With winter coming up, that just wasn't going to cut it. So I'm very excited that it works now. However, that was very difficult. There was very little room to get the back bolt out of that actuator to get this fixed. I would say that although it doesn't require any specialty tools, it does require a lot of patience. Hey, how you doing? How you doing? Okay, you can go back. I will say that although it doesn't require any specialty tools, it does require a lot of patience to get that back bolt both in and out. And you're working blind most of the time. So there's 2 bolts and an electrical connector on that thing, and you can only see one of them while installing. The back bolt and the electrical connector, you are not visible from the outside. You have to reach under the dash. You will not be able to see them. You have to do it by feel alone. That said, it was totally worth it. From what I understand, this is not an inexpensive fix to have done in a shop. This is very time consuming, so it's going to take a lot of labor hours to get this done. I think it's totally worth it. I'm very excited that we're going to have a working heater in this car come winter. All right, well, thanks again for coming along on this fix. If you found this helpful, please give me a like. If you didn't find it helpful, let me know. If you have questions about a lot of things that couldn't be shown because you can't see them, let me know in the comments, and I'll respond to those questions as they come up. In the meantime, consider subscribing to this channel for more content about Ford Explorer and the other things we're working on here in the farm. All right, thanks again, and I'll see y'all next time.